right? And some are talking about heaven, kingdom of heaven. Some are talking about should be in life. Okay, the Good Samaritan is talking about how should we deal with people, right? But to understand more about the Good Samaritan, we should know why did Jesus say that parable and when? امتى وليه ربنا يسوع قال المثل ده. Okay, what happened is واحد من الفارسيس like came to ask him, how can I inherit the kingdom of heaven? How can I inherit the kingdom of heaven? He was asking God not to know how to inherit the kingdom of heaven. He was كان بيختبر ربنا. He was examining Jesus. Like he wanted to know what he was going to say. He was just waiting for him to say something different that he can. He said something different. But what Jesus said, what was Jesus' response at that time? لا it was ده كان مع الراجل الأولاني اللي كان عنده فلوس كتير. مع الراجل ده he said sorry قبلها قال له you love your God, you love from all your heart. Like he told him what the Old Testament, the commandments said, right? And then the guy found himself like losing. So he started to ask more, and his next question was, who is my relative? Who is my relative? لأن الcommandment بتقول حب رب إلهك من كل قلبك وحب قريبك كنفسك. Love your relative as yourself. فكان السؤال اللي بعده then who is my relative? مين هو قريبي؟ Okay? فابتدى ربنا يحكي البارابل بتاع Good Samaritan. حد عارف المثل؟ Can someone summarize the parable quickly? كلنا عارفينه؟ طب أنا عايز حد واحد يقول لي المثل بيقول إيه؟ مين هقول لي المثل بيقول إيه؟ One of you is يلا.
There was a Samaritan. Sorry, there was a man who was beaten and left half dead on the side of the road.
Yeah.
A priest walked by, went on the other side of the road and left him. A Levite who was, the people who would read the Bible really well, one heart or whatever. Crossed on the other side of the road and left him. Then the Samaritan came, and the Samaritans are known to be enemy with these kind of people. And he took him up on his donkey, took him to the inn that he was staying at, and they took care of his bandages and drenched him with oil or ointments. And paid the innkeeper to take care of him the next day.
Great. Okay, so everyone, like we all know the story of that guy was traveling and he got beaten by the thieves and then he was left half dead, and then the priest came along and saw him and he was like, okay, and then he left, and then the deacon came across and he saw him and then he left, and then that Samaritan guy saw him and he had sympathy and then he helped him. Okay? Regarding this parable, we have two different illustrations, explanations, or analogies, right? The first one will take half an hour, the second one will take half an hour, and then we'll take another half an hour to get some lessons out of it. That will be we'll finish around 10 o'clock, okay? All right.
1 hour as you wish.
And then I have to submit the okay? We're going to look at this parable from two different perspectives. The first perspective, tafsir symbolic شوية, messianic شوية. Messianic means related to Christ and His coming. And the other perspective will be like our daily life. ماشي? The first perspective, if we look at this مثل, that human, he said just a human. He didn't specify. He didn't specify what type of human. He just said a human, insane, كان نازلا من أورشليم لأريحا. Okay? Well, because Jerusalem resembles, Jerusalem has a temple, right? It always resembles the worship and the praise of God and the glory of God, right? So, الآباء بيقولوا إنه that man going from Jerusalem to Ariha, Urushalim to Ariha, resembles humanity going down from heaven to to the world, right? It started with الجنة, right? And that the first guy, الكاهن, priest, resembles the law, namus, right? The deacon or Levi resembles the prophets, and none of them were able to heal that human, that man. None of them, لا الناموس ولا الأنبياء. Neither the law or the prophets were able to heal humans. And then the Samaritan came along, which resembles Jesus. وخد الراجل half-dead dog on his donkey. And the fathers say that that donkey resembles the body of Jesus Christ, because that what carried humanity, and then he took him to that inn, and that inn resembles church.
The donkey resembles Jesus?
The body of Jesus Christ.
Body.
Yeah. Okay? And then that inn resembles the church. Okay? الراجل المتعور, right? Who's hurt. Those injuries resembles our sins, right? And then the promise that that Samaritan is coming back resembles the second coming. Jesus is promising us with the second coming. The priest and the deacon, they thought about helping him. They didn't just go across, like they looked at him and they were like, what happened to them? They just left. They thought about it, but they didn't have that ability. That's the Old Testament. The Old Testament was big. الناموس كان موجود لسنين طويلة. الأنبياء كانوا عاملين يجوا واحد ورا التاني, but no one was able to heal humanity from that big fall, right? Humanity needed Jesus. And what is beautiful about Jesus in this parable, that he wasn't asked to help the poor guy, right? He offered help. He went and helped him without the guy even asking. Of course he was able to ask, but he wasn't asked to help him. He just did it. And that's what God does for us. He provides healing for free. He provides healing for free. That's what Amy said last week about how we have everything paid for. The forgiveness is paid for us. Right? Have you guys heard of St. Ambrose? Good Ambrosius? Who's St. Ambrose? Yeah, Good Ambrosius.
Is he Greek or
He's the guy who actually have a really big role in changing St. Augustine. So St. Augustine went to listen to his sermons because he was well known for his language ability. And then he got affected by his sermons. And he's so good in talking about repentance. He has a few sermons about repentance that's spot on. So he says in one of his sermons, ليته, I will say it in Arabic and then I will just summarize what does it mean. ليته لا يخاف إنسان ما من الهلاك مهما كان سقوطه فيستمر الصالح الذي هو حارس النفوس أقول أنه لن يجتازه بل يحمى عليه ويعيش فيه. No one should be afraid of what does halak mean? Don't ask it. You should not be afraid of eternal death. Eternal death. Because it doesn't matter how bad you are, that Good Samaritan will not just leave you behind and walk away. He will be kind to you. He will have sympathy and he will come and heal you. So you should never be afraid that you will be rejected. You should always have that faith that you will accept it and forgive you. Because he can't, he would never pass by and just leave you behind. He would never do that. Okay? The second part is how he went there and put oil and wine on his injuries. Okay? That was a sign of kindness. The first thing that he does was looking after his injuries. Looking after his injuries. That's what sin does to us. Whenever we sin, whenever we fall in anger, whenever we fall in temptation, we're getting hurt, we're getting injured. Like when you swear at someone, road rage, you're not gaining anything, you're actually hurting your own self. That's what sin does to us. And the first thing that Good Samaritan does is looking after our wounds first. Okay? And he puts on them wine and oil. Okay? St. Ambrose says that the oil resembles God's kindness, and the wine resembles ta'deeb, like it's not punishment, it's sort of like how he disciplines us. So it's how God can do that. He can discipline us with kindness. He's not harsh on us. He's kind, but at the same time, he's very, very fair to us. He wants us to be good. He wants us to heal us. So if he has to go and do a surgery, he has to do it, but he'll be kind doing it. Okay? He can do that. And hasn't St. Ambrose look at it? He says that if you see someone falling in sin, the last thing they need from you is to judge them and be harsh on them. Because even if, like we all know that we have that accountability to our sins, we are aware of what we're doing. We make our own choices every day, and we should have accountability to our sins. But still, even God Himself doesn't do that to us. He doesn't judge us, and we can see that in the lady who's caught in the adultery, right? حتى هي ما دنهاش. فقديس أمبروسيوس بيقول حينما ينهار إنسان تحت ثقل الخطية وتصاب نفسه بجراحات عميقة لا يحتاج إلى كلمات توبيخ جارحة بالرغم من مسؤوليته عن هذه الجراحات، لكنه يحتاج من يضمد جراحاته أن يستر عيوب الآخرين. That's how St. Ambrose sees that oil. He says that whenever someone falls into sin, he's injured, he's hurt now. So your harsh words will not help. It'll make it worse. But he needs mercy. He needs to be loved at that time. He needs to be covered. He needs someone who would help him, not someone who would put him down, because he's already down. He's saying, I was in Arabic as well, I'll just translate it. أما يبدو لك الإنسان الساقط في الخطية بين حي وميت يستطيع الإيمان أن يجد في نسمة حياة. If you see someone that far in sin that he's between half dead, like that poor guy in the story, only faith can save that hope in him. Only faith. Alright? The last thing about this symbolic illustration is the 2 denarii. St. Augustine says those 2 denarii as love. Love God and love your neighbor or your relative. So that's St. Augustine's opinion. Some other fathers say it's the Old Testament and the New Testament. Some fathers say it's the body and blood of Jesus Christ, but it's something that God left to us to help us recover, and you can't find that anywhere outside of church because He left them in the inn, right? Okay, that was the first illustration. Can someone tell me what's the guy going down from Jerusalem? Humanity falling down, and then the priest, the laws, the deacon, the prophet, and then Samaritan guy, Jesus, the donkey, the body, and the inn, church, the 2 denarii, love or the blood, body and blood, or communion, and then the oil and the wine, kindness and discipline, right? Okay. Let's go more practical now. So now we understand how God loves us, how God is the only way we can recover. What sin does to us, sin بتعورنا وبتبهدلنا, but in Jesus we find cure, we find oil and wine. And in church we find the 2 denarii that Jesus left for us to be good again, right? So how we apply that parable to our The idea is they were walking by and they saw that guy على في الشارع مرمي. فرصة عمل الخير, the chance to do good deeds, just comes like this, on the street. And it needs to be quick in your response. Doesn't need you to think twice. You can't think twice, because it needs quick reaction. That's what the Samaritan guy did. He just quickly responded to that. He didn't. The other guys, what happened to the other guys is they thought about it for a second. Maybe what happened is, كانوا خايفين. Like maybe the thieves are still around. It's very risky. Maybe if you help someone in that case, you would be, and he died, you would be accused that you killed him, right? The Samaritan guy did not think twice about it. He just went there and helped the guy, right? So the good deeds or the good chances, the chances to do good just comes like this. And you need to be quick. You need to be able to read the chance and respond to it quickly. Because it's limited, it's time limited, right? The other thing is, الكاهن واللاوي, they resemble knowledge without practice. Knowledge is not enough. You have to put knowledge in practice. Today we're talking about the Samaritan guy, the Good Samaritan. And we all will go out here know what the priest resembles, what the deacon resembles, what Jesus resembles, but knowledge is not enough. Knowledge is not enough. We have to put knowledge in practice. المعرفة مش لوحدها كفاية. لازم نطبقها. Okay? Do you guys know who this? Do you know guys the story of the Samaritan واليهود, like the Jews and the Samaritan, how things happen? Okay, so the Jews look at those people as heretics. They hate them. They hate them so much. It's even if you're traveling from the city to the other and you're going to go across Samaria, they don't go across Samaria, they go around. Even if it's a longer way, they would go around. عشان ما يعدوش من البلد بتاعتهم. It's that much they hate you. يكرهوهم. And the opposite. Because Samaritans, what they did, they said that the books of Moses are enough. We don't believe anyone after that, and that's it. They look at them as heretics, okay? And the Samaritans don't like them either. Okay? Yeah, that's in brief, yeah. That's in brief. That's how much they hate each other. فلما السامري فلما when Jesus says how good, like when Jesus resembles himself with the Samaritan guy, as we said, the Samaritan guy in this story resembles Jesus, who came and healed humanity. So when Jesus chooses a Samaritan to resemble him, he's like, wow. Can you see what I mean?
Yeah, that would have been like really intense for the Pharisee to ask the question.
Yeah. The other thing is, that's Jesus' way. He always finds one good thing in the other person. He didn't talk about how إيمانه الفاسد, عقيدته الفاسدة, or he didn't talk about anything bad about the guy. He just pointed out one good thing about him, how kind he was to the man, to the other man, right? And that's. Do you guys remember in Corinthians when St. Paul speaks about the mind of Christ, how we should have the mind of Christ? How we should have the mind of Christ is we should think about other people the way Jesus think about him. And the way Jesus think about other people is he always points out the good thing in them. There's a verse في أمثال بتقول رابح النفوس حكيم. في أمثال, I think. رابح النفوس حكيم. And it's how to win other people. It's a talent. It's not a talent. It's a skill. And Jesus made it clear how to win other people. Just find out one good thing about him and point it out. Okay. He like if you look around in a lot of other stories, you find him always doing that. مع Zacchaeus. What he said about him, he didn't say he's a ashar or he's a tax collector or whatever. He said that he's a son of Abraham. he pointed one good thing about it. He did the same with Wakil al-Zulm. He said, like, the guy was pretty much, he found himself stuffed up, and then he had to steal money and just, like, right, did it the wrong way. But what Jesus said about him, that he was wise about the way he looked at his future. So that's the way Jesus that's the way Jesus deal with people. He ignores everything wrong now. It's not the time to speak about the wrong things. You're still good. You have one thing good. And let's start from there. Let's take it from there. Right? Right? So, رَبِّحِ النفوس حكيم. And that's the way Jesus was attracting people. He would look at the person and he would see that one good thing in him. Even if everything else is stuffed up, he would see that one good thing. I just remember this morning, have you guys heard of Qudis Butros al-Abid? Have anyone heard of him? He has a wonderful story. Like, كان راجل بخيل قوي, right? ما كانش بيدي فلوس خالص للفقراء, ما كانش بيدي فلوس لحد, كان راجل بخيل قوي. وبعدين one day that poor guy حرام قعد يزن عليه وراجل مطنشه قعد يزن تاني, خبط عليه ويزن عليه. في اخر بطرس زهق منه, راح مسك حته عيش ناشفه وراح حدفه بيها. Then he slept, وبعدين he dreamt that he died, واقف قدام ربنا بيتحاسب. And then كل شويه الملائكه يجيبوا حاجات وحشه ويحطوها في الميزان بتاعه, يجيبوا حاجات وحشه. فربنا قال لهم هو ما عملش حاجه حلوه خالص في حياته خالص. فلا الملاك جاي كده بيجري, قال لهم استنوا ثانيه واحده, لقيت حاجه واحده حلوه عملها, وجاب حته اللقمه الناشفه وحطها في الميزان بتاعه. And he wakes up, and then he realizes how good God is. Even this little dry piece of bread, God accepted that as a good deed. حتى وهو عملها انه رماها في وش الراجل. That's how God is amazing. هو حتى لو مهما كان حاجه صغنونه قوي قد كده, he sees it good. He sees it good. بيتلكك لنا يعني من الاخر, شوفنا بنعمل حاجه حلوه. He does it like that's his way. That's his way. So that's how we should deal with others. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how bad they are. You will be able to find one good thing in them. Look. Yeah, but in this story, he even accepted. Yeah, it's a true story. ده قديس موجود في السنكسار.
غير السنكسار دي قصة حقيقية حصلت فعلا
كده.
بقيتها عجيبة.
Yeah, like في الآخر هو بقى قديس بطرس العابد.
هو باع نفسه من كتر ما حبيته في العطاء, باع نفسه عشان كده اتسمى العابد.
فشوف قد ايه ربنا لما شاف حاجة واحدة صغيرة فيه, مع انه حتى كان عاملها بدون قصد, how that changed his life. Okay? Let's spend a couple of minutes with the Samaritan guy about himself. Yeah. The Samaritan guy is a wonderful example for a lot of good things. The first thing is, he did something good to an enemy, to someone he doesn't know, and then to an enemy, because Samaritans are Jewish. He didn't think about it twice. هو ما خافش انه ممكن لو مات الراجل يفتكروا هو, يقول عليه هو اللي قتله. ما خافش انه الحرامية ممكن they still gonna be around and they will just come and just beat him as well. He didn't think about it. He just went straight and did the good thing, did the right thing. He was even a good example of sacrifice, because the whole way he had to put the guy on his donkey and he had to walk next to him the whole way, holding him. Right? What sacrifice is that? Why would you do that? He did his job till the end. He took care of the guy on the spot, طيب جراحه, عالجه, and then he took him to an inn عشان ياخدوا بالهم منه. He'd left 2 dinars to cover all the expenses, and he promised that he would come back. He did everything till the end. Good follow-up. Okay? So, to conclude, we'll just come out of this story with like 4 practical lessons. Okay? As we said from the first illustration, God is looking for you. And He's coming to you. And He won't go across and leave you behind. Doesn't matter how bad you are, He's still coming to put wine and oil on your injuries, on your wounds, and He's going to heal you. He has prepared the inn in His church for you, and He left His 2 denarii for you. All of this He has done for you, and He's going to follow up, and He's going to finish it till the end. Don't worry how bad you are, even if you're half dead, even if you're like that bad, that you can't even ask for help. He's coming to you. We have always to have that faith in us. زي ما قال القديس أمبروسيوس لا يخاف أحد من الهلاك. Don't ever put this idea in your head. Don't ever put it with confidence. Be always confident that your sins are forgiven. Put that confidence in Him. Not through anything you would do. It's through His bread and blood, His body and blood. To the 2 denarii that He left in the inn. For the church to look after you, look after your wounds. Number 2, when you get a chance to do something good, just do it. And very quickly. You have to be very responsive to chances to do good things. Because there was one chance to do something good for that poor guy, and 3 people came across, and only one responded the right way. Only one. So the chance has expired. And if you don't be quick in your response, you might lose it. Okay? Number 3, it doesn't matter how much knowledge you have. It doesn't matter. If you don't put this knowledge into practice, like St. Paul said, it doesn't matter how strong your faith are. If you don't put it in practice, it doesn't mean anything. Doesn't matter how much information you have in your head, how many times you read the Bible in your life. That all doesn't even make any sense if you don't put this in practice. The message of the Bible is the message of practice. You have to live it. I remember Abu Nashnuda the first day of Nada, and he was talking about the practice of practice. Was anyone here? Yeah, he was talking about the practice of practice. So our faith has to be applied faith. Number 4, look for whatever is good in people. Just be like Christ or Christ-like. Have His mind in your head. How He thinks about people. He never judged them, for all His life. They brought the woman mamsuka fil fa'al, they caught her in action, right? But He didn't even judge her. He went into Zacchaeus' house, and even if the only good thing was that he's son of Abraham, He pointed out. And I don't think that you can, if you look to anybody and look at their face, you will see God's like in their face. We're all humans, and that's mentioned in the first chapter of Genesis, first chapter of Genesis, how God made man in His likeness and image. So even if you look at someone and you can't find anything good in them, just remember one good thing about them: they're made in His likeness. That's enough, I think. They're made in His likeness. In this parable, we should always know that love has no limits. Love do not think twice. Love doesn't know race or a color or a language. Love goes beyond everything. If you have that love in your heart, it's not the worldly love, it's the love that we take from His Holy Spirit in our hearts. If we have that love in our hearts, we can be another Good Samaritan. We can be like Jesus Himself resembled Himself with the Good Samaritan. So if we can be another Good Samaritan, we'll be like Him. And that's the purpose of our life. To, at the end of it, to be like Him. So again, Jesus is looking for you. He's coming for you on His donkey, and He will carry you, and He will heal your wounds. Do, like when you have a chance to do something good, just be quick, respond quickly, and do it, because the chance hasn't expired. Knowledge is not enough. You have to put it in practice, and always look for what's good in people. Always look for what's good in people. Glory be to God forever. Amen.